What's up and welcome back to Kind of Funny's Mad Max in Review. That's right, we're ranking, reviewing, and recapping all of the Mad Max films. Of course, I am your host, Tim Geddes. I'm joined today by the Nitro Rifle, Andy Cortez.
Good afternoon.
It's Christmas in May, Joey Noel.
We're here.
What a lovely day.
What a lovely day. And the producer/seducer, Nick Scarpino.
Witness me, Tim.
Oh, you shall be witness, Nick. God, we're talking about Fury Road today, which is absolutely wild. I never thought we would get here on In Review. We've been through many different movie franchises. I always hoped that one day we would actually get here, and I'm happy that we did. Because like I've been saying, Fury Road, turns out I've only seen the first 30 minutes of this film, ever. Never saw the whole thing.
How is that possible? A flight? Or
Gia lived in Philadelphia for grad school, and she flew back to visit one time, and we started watching, and then she immediately fell asleep because of jet lag. And we just never got back to it.
Gotcha.
Classic conundrum, you know. But here we are now, thanks to Kind of Funny and In Review. We're able to right the wrongs of the past, the sins of the past. And we've done just that. And we're going to continue to do that next week when we review Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, which I'm also very excited for. And there was a debate between me and Joe, no, not between us, but with us, of like, do we just go to the closer theater for this, or is this a we got to see it in Dolby type situation? We sided with Dolby.
Oh, God.
And I'm very happy that we did that.
You fucking what?
I'm sorry,
there was an option?
Well, sometimes it's just easier to go to Stonestown.
You know what
How
I
many
mean?
movies do we see at Stonestown?
Sometimes
Almost
it's
all of them.
easy, and there's lots of parking in the back. And if you get there
It's
early,
free
you can
parking.
go through the sports basement
Or get a mall pretzel to
or get
sneak
a
in.
huge mall pretzel.
You're so right about the parking. That's the only place I feel like safe parking at.
Yeah.
Mostly because I know the situation.
It's
I've
free.
gotten the lay of the land.
Yeah.
The Metro parking is not crazy, though.
But it's expensive.
Yeah, but Joe, I Uber over there, and it's a 50 wave.
Also, the
$50
Metreon
round
is
trip, you know what I
kinda
mean?
Or you could pay $20 to park.
Or you pay $2 to take the bus. It's a one-shot bus for you to the Metreon.
Yeah, if the movie's at 7, I got to leave the house by 2:30, you know?
Have you ever taken the bus while you've lived here?
like 30 minutes.
I'm pretty sure the bus would be faster than the Uber coming and getting and
That's
all that
crazy.
stuff. But you know, whatever. Enough about
it.
that stuff. We're not talking about cars moving
Public
slow.
transit,
We're talking about cars moving fast. This is Fury Road, everybody. Of course, your support goes a very long way. Thank you so much for supporting us with the Kind of Funny membership. You get the shows ad-free. You can watch live as we record them, like so many amazing people like Bo, Madeline Stanley, Pickles in the chat. I don't remember seeing a Pickles before.
Gosh, Pickles.
So welcome. Thank you for hanging out with us
My
today.
favorite of the interns from Real Housewives of New York.
Yes. Shout out to our Patreon producers, James Hastings, Casey Andrew, Kieran Hovasapian, Carl Jacobs, Kashan Patel, Karen Lindner, and Nathan Lamoth. You are all the absolute best, and you make my world go round. Today we're talking about Mad Max Fury Road with a runtime of 2 hours on the dot. It was released on May 15th, 2015, which is wild.
9 years ago.
9 years ago from now, which is wild. But then before that, the last Mad Max movie to have come out was 1985.
Oh, wow.
So this is a franchise that, like,
30
really
years.
putting in perspective, like, man,
That can't be
George Miller has been directing these things for a very, very
And he got
very
really
long
busy
time.
with Babe, you know?
Exactly, with Babe and with Happy,
Happy
Feet.
Feet.
It's a busy man. Busy man, this George Miller. Of course, George Miller returning to direct once again. But music this time done by who, Nick Scarpino?
Oh, I don't know. Is it Junkie XL?
It's Junkie XL,
Okay.
baby.
It sounded like
it's the
Junkie
Junkie. Budget of $185 million, which is a fuck ton of money compared to the budget of the previous movies.
Yes.
Granted, time changed, Hollywood's different, all of those things. And also you look at this movie and you're like, oh yeah, the budget's a lot higher than the other ones. But $185 million. Do you guys remember what the budget of the last one was?
$12.
30 million?
Oh, Tina Turner was a lot of money. We decided.
10 million. 10 million.
Yeah, I was gonna
And
say
the
that
budget
it
of the
was-
previous
yeah,
ones
12.
before that were
10 million to
3 million.
165.
Mhm. Yeah. But the box office of the last movie, 36 million. Box office of this one, 380 million.
Oof.
Pretty good.
Not bad. Not great, though.
I mean, it is. It's just not like
380 on a 165 budget.
But you're thinking with that Marvel brain. Like, usually
Well, my rule of thumb is not my rule of thumb. Most rules of thumb is like you got to triple whatever the budget was, because half is like your marketing costs, and then the other third of it would be the actual profit margin for it. So I'm shocked that they actually greenlit Furiosa with it only having made that much money.
They talk about it as if this was a success they're happy about financially.
Sure.
And it also was definitely a success for them critically, because at the 88th Academy Awards, Mad Max Fury Road received nominations for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Cinematography, Best Visual Effects, and it won Best Film Editing, Best Production Design, Best Costume Design, Best Makeup and Hairstyling, Best Sound Mixing, and Best Sound Editing. Its 6 awards were more than any other film at that year's ceremony, and it set a new record for the most wins by an Australian film.
Pretty cool.
Dang.
Best sound editing.
Pretty cool.
I thought this movie had terrible ADR. Was it only me?
Well, just Tom Hardy. But I don't think it was ADR. I think he's just doing a voice the entire time. You're like,
Like there was a lot of scenes where it just felt like I was watching a foreign language film with English dubbed over it. I was very distracted by a lot of it.
I was never distracted by the ADR at all. I didn't notice it at all. But what I will say is, undeniably, this was the most insane audio mix I've ever heard, ever. Period.
as far as the carnage,
What was the last
the
one?
car carnage.
The last crazy one,
Because
I said this recently.
yeah, that was like a month ago, maybe.
But what was it? I don't remember. But Joey watched this movie with me last night. Dune 1.
1.
That's what
Dune
it was.
1.
It was Dune 1. Yeah. This is up there. Like very, very similar. We watched the 4K Blu-ray with the Dolby Atmos mix, and holy crap, man. Every single channel is being used, and my chair did not stop shaking for 2 hours straight. It was like the most intense, like it felt like you're in a sandstorm for the entire thing. And it was like really, really, really crazy. But yeah, I want to start with Andy Cortez, because I don't remember your thoughts on this. I remember at some point hearing you talking shit about Fury Road, but I don't remember if you were being sarcastic or not. So remind me.
Well, I had to do the Nick double down on it because I always thought this movie was okay.
Sure.
And then everybody got mad at me because I thought it was only okay. So then it turned into, no, this actually movie sucks. This movie's really,
That's what you think I'm
this
doing?
movie's really shitty, actually.
Okay, sure.
But after rewatching it, like, this movie fucking rules. And I heard it in $29.99 Sony headphones,
course,
Sony earbuds, and the sound mix was nuts. I wish Tim invited us, by the way, Nick.
I hate you guys so
Kind
much.
of
It's
crazy.
almost like he did.
I never get the invite anymore.
Yeah,
It's okay.
wow.
I just stand outside of his house and I play cool stuff in my boombox.
I will say that last night as I was leaving, I took a picture of Toons' outside and I meant to send it to you and be like, oh my
Toons
gosh,
still kicking?
Toons is still there.
Yeah.
It's a little dusty. I think that's an indoor cat, but that's okay.
They've been inhabited by spiders of some sort.
Toons
you
is
know,
going
it's
through
fine.
it. It's
He's an
outdoor
outdoor
alley
cat
cat now.
Yeah, this movie, I had a much larger appreciation for all of the work. I thought there was like a lot of bad green screen and mainly just like bad green screen. This movie had a lot of it. It was like a lot more apparent when I was watching because I rented it in 4K and I watched it. I watched it on my OLED monitor and it looked really, really damn good. But there was like a lot of distracting visual effects and kind of like hokey visual effects as well, dealing, with the little like you could have saved us, Max, all that sort of shit. Was like,
Yeah.
that felt all very. It felt like watching Raimi do Raimi things. You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh, George Miller has to do that because that's like that's his style, right?
No saxophone though,
Disappointing.
Unfortunate. But no, I thought the movie was fucking fantastic, and I enjoyed it way more this time around. Even though the first time I really liked it, I just didn't think it was like all that in a bag of chips. This time was all that and a bag of flaming hot fries.
Whoa, upgrade.
Really impressed by it. I still thought is this where we were like, what's going on with Tom Hardy? Is this
In what
where?
way?
Because so the opening intro, the opening monologue, it sounds like he's doing a really good Australian accent and impression, and it sounds like he's going for, I'm going to try to emulate Mel Gibson in the prior movies or whatever. And then I don't know what happens throughout the movie where he's just like he becomes Hulk.
He's just Tom Hardy.
You gun. Like, what? It's so weird and awkward, man. I don't get it.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I thought it was fucking fantastic. The action sequences were absolutely astounding. The parts that, like, this movie had me like audibly going like, oh shit, so many different times. I loved all the dudes getting shot in midair by the little like single shots. There was just a lot of really awesome sequences. And I love the tension of it. I just loved how it kept on building and building, and you really felt for these characters' lives. And when we start seeing people getting kind of killed off. You're like, oh shit, who else could this possibly happen to? So yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the villains. I enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed, of course, the witness me moment at the very, very end. Absolutely, like just goosebumps all over the place. Great movie. Had an awesome time with it. Probably going to be below Thunderdome. No, okay.
Really quick, just with the juxtaposition between like his opening monologue and like how he talks to people. I found that pretty interesting because I felt like the opening monologue is his inner dialogue, but then how he interacts with people, I like that it's different and kind of weird because like we don't know where he's been, we don't know how long it's been that he's actually had like quote unquote more normal interactions. So that was something I picked up on as well when I was watching it last night, but I personally enjoyed it.
Joey, what did you think of Fury Road?
I liked Fury Road so much that I took a single note last night while we were watching it. Like normally I try to be better about like marking off like different points and stuff to talk about, even though sometimes I feel like I don't necessarily bring them up. But I wrote, I think, a single thing down last night, and I just let myself just be immersed in the world of Fury Road. This cast is incredible. Not even talking about just Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron, but like the whole harem of women being Riley Keough and Zoe Kravitz and the girl from Transformers and the girl from Yellow Jackets. Like, it's crazy that like all of those girls have gone on to do some like really wild things.
They're the Beauty and the Beast from Metal Gear Solid 4.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it reminded me of.
What a cool year.
Yeah. The use of color, the use of sound. Nobody does it like George Martin. And this is saying Miller. Oops. Like
George Martin is great too.
Yeah.
I love
George Miller really likes color. George Martin, Everybody in the Dark. Isn't that the difference?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
Isn't
yes,
George
he really
Miller,
likes color. He loves the saturated sort of like
the colors in this look so dope.
Yeah.
The acrobatic weird pole people that are like flinging back and forth on this. The coolest possible like trans car not communication, like transporting thing ever to exist.
Yeah.
It's so cool. I had a great time. I have nothing bad to say about this movie. I need to watch it again because I feel like there's a million things in this movie that I missed because I was just like in this trance watching it, just loving life.
Nick.
Yeah, I mean, I really like this movie too, and I second Joey's responses as well. I need to watch it again because every time I watch it, I pick little tiny details out of the production design that I never caught before. Specifically, like the poles, the vaulting, the counterweights are like engine blocks. So like that's pretty cool because of course they just have a bunch of engine blocks around. And then the other thing that was just randomly stuck out to me is there's one shot of him gunning it on the truck, but instead of a gas pedal, it was one of those like
Payless things.
Yeah.
those things you measure shoes with, like a foot with and shit. Payless. I was like, what the fuck? Yeah. That's so weird. Cast is great. I really, really love this movie. I like that it furthers the myth of the Road Warrior of Mad Max, but it's not really about him. It's a Furiosa story, and Charlize Theron really is the driving hero behind this movie. Max is kind of a side character, and I think to that degree, I think Tom Hardy played it well enough. I still prefer Mel Gibson as our Mad Max because I think he's just cooler, and I think he's slightly less psychotic. But I think to Tom Hardy's credit, he was like, I'm not going to play it like Mel. I'm going to do something different and take the character deeper and just go a little. Maybe he to Barrett's point, like he's been out there a little bit longer. Even though I'm not quite sure. This has to have happened if you were in canonically before Thunderdome because he's not gray yet. And he has a little music box that has to happen after Road Warrior. But he has the Interceptor, which we lost in Road Warrior. So it's like I'm confused as to where this lays. If this makes any sense to anyone.
Vin Diesel always gets his Charger back, you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, but it goes to sort of the myth of like, who knows when this was or what he had or what we did. And we're telling these stories about Mad Max, right? And we see him, of course, disappearing into the crowd at the end, which is a very cool, like, mythological thing to do. But I love they set up this world, and I think it's so cool that in Thunderdome we set up the world of Tina Turner that she had created, where there is law, but it's this brutalistic law. In this world, we have the Citadel, which is where all the food is grown, and then we have the Gas Town, and then you have the Bullet Farm. And each of those have their own leader, and they're all unique, and they're all weird and crazy and weird as fuck, and like designed so amazingly. And like Morton Joe, just the face mask and the fact that he draws abs on the thing that covers his like inflated, bloated, like cancer-riddled stomach is just absolutely bonkers. I like this movie a lot, and I think the crowning achievement of it is the amount of time we spend in cars with the car carnage is like 400% more than any other movie. And that's why I think this movie is really, really fun. It's because, like, dude, they're like driving for most of the movie, which is cool.
Yeah.
And they continue to find interesting and cool stuff to do because they add the raiders that are out there with the spikes on the shit. Then they add the pole vaulting, and there's that escalation of action that keeps happening. But we're also getting to know the wives. We're getting to know Max a little bit more. We're getting to know Furiosa, and we care about them as we get sort of to that dire part where we get to the desert. And she's like, you passed through the Green Land. It was the swamp shit with all the weird crow guys. You're like,
Yeah.
wow, Raven guys. So I really, really like this movie, and I'm looking forward to Furiosa.
Me too. I loved this. This was such a damn ride. I about 30, 40 minutes in, I was like, I'm really, really into this. I don't know if it's that good, though. Like, kind of like what Andy was saying. I was like, I've really loved the last couple that we're watching, and I love that each one has something unique. But is this overhyped? And then by the time it ends, I was like, no. It was perfectly hyped. Like, is it a perfect film? No. I think that there's a lot of stuff that breaks the immersion of it. Like, I like it feeling some level of based in reality and grounded of like, this is just Earth's future. It's not magic and superpower type stuff. And there's a couple shots of like, that guy should have died. Like, Max should have died there.
Oh, man.
Or like, just like weird things like that like kind of just bother me because it makes it feel like cartoony, where when it doesn't feel cartoony and they're bouncing back and forth between the cars, it feels visceral. And it feels like, whoa, these people have lived this way for so long that they are okay putting their bodies on the line because they truly don't give a fuck. Or in the case of the war boys, that they feel they've been kind of brainwashed into believing like they're supposed to put their bodies on the line
They're going to
because
Valhalla.
they're supposed to die and come back and all of that. Like, that is so cool, but I feel like that's taken away when it looks cartoony and green screened and like they're kind of rubber a little bit. But that is I think minor complaint for how amazing and well thought out so many of the action sequences are, whether they're on vehicles, which is the majority of this movie, which was awesome to see, or even just some of the more like hand-to-hand combat, like the scene when Max is first meeting Furiosa, and we have Nicholas Holt's character, and they're chained together, and the fight with the chain and like the gun of like not knowing if there's a bullet in it or not. That was so well done. Like, there was just such a good pacing to it, and like the camera work there was it just brought you into such a tense scene that just came after one of the most insane chase sequences I ever saw. And the fact that every chase scene just gets bigger and bigger. And like when we see a bunch of motorcycles pull up, you're like, oh, now there's motorcycles. Like, it's just so cool. Like, they're about to do crazier and crazier things.
Yeah.
We get this dude with the fucking guitar that shoots flames, that every time he's on screen, you hear guitar in the score. Like, it's just so damn great and gratuitous as fuck at the end when we get the witness me moment that is just like such a great sacrifice. And then you see the guitar fucking explode in shitty 3D looking towards the screen. And you hear it fucking just wailing. I'm like, God, they're having so much fun. And I think that's what's really cool is like they can have fun with the characters, goofy ass names and outfits and all this stuff, but it's also scary as hell. And I feel like overall the biggest success of this movie is how it found a balance between the world being scary as hell and like this pregnant woman is going to die a very, very graphic death. So it doesn't lose that like gory horribleness that like the original movie had, or even the second one. And the third one, even like with the Master Blaster and dropped to the pig shit and all that stuff. Like, there's a lot of that darkness to it, but that darkness is shown to us in the most vibrant orange and blue I've ever seen. And I love, there's one shot early on where Furiosa is driving the rig, and the shot is like from the side, and she has her like black face paint on the top of her face. And the camera is cut perfectly so that underneath in the car, everything is like orange and just lit up from like the sand. And then outside, it's just like the sky being blue with her eyes being blue with the black. And I'm like, God damn, dude, they are going so hard with this. And it just works. And it comes together to be like, what an amazing sequel, 30 plus years to the originals. And I'm 40 plus year to the original. And to respect the hell out of the legacy of those, keep it going, but also make it feel modern as hell. And I feel like you can just watch this movie and it's just as good as having us just watch the others. But having said that, really could have done without all of the flashes to the little girl and the like save me Max and all that stuff. Don't think it paid off. Did feel like it kind of got in the way. Could have cut it and just moved on, and I would have been fine.
It's interesting because when I watched this movie originally in theaters, those didn't stick out as much until I watched all of the Saw films. And now I'm like, those make this movie feel like it was made in the 90s. It feels like a 90s horror movie or a 90s action movie where
A
they
lot
would
of
just
sped up action.
yeah,
as well.
they would just speed up the shot, the sort of those shots that would come out of nowhere just to scare you a little bit. The jump scare shots. Again, this is my least favorite interpretation of Max. I know we've only had two, but I prefer Mel Gibson sort of mostly there, but then occasionally a little crazy because he's been out there for a while. I like the more stoicism that he puts in, but I think
We had 3, right?
what's that?
3.
Well, I mean, I count Mel as 1, and then Tom Hardy as the second Max. There's only been 2 actors that have played Max.
Sorry, I thought you meant movies. I thought.
Well, this is the 4th movie, but
Gotcha,
yeah, I mean,
gotcha.
like, I guess there are different levels of Max. So the first movie, he's like a normal cop, and the second movie, he's gone. He's the road warrior at that point, and then the third one, he's got the redemption. But yeah, so for me, it's like I could have done with all that stuff too, and there really wasn't too much of a payoff except for like the very, very end where she kind of wakes him up from his stupor and he saves the day. But
The concept, the redemption, and like the him and Furiosa kind of finding and having each other to help each other through the redemption. I thought all that stuff was great. I just feel like they didn't present the backstory in a way that I felt made that story compelling. Like even if you cut all that stuff out, I think that shit still would have worked just as well.
Well, it's also weird too because we're reinventing the backstory, right? These characters that we saw, we've never seen them before.
Yeah, it's more like
Yeah.
vague
The daughter died when they were an infant, not when she was
Yeah.
13 or 14 years old and able to speak and actually have that stuff. And the wife is nowhere to be seen, right? So we are reinventing Max here, which I think was done purposefully to kind of just tell another story that's really just Furiosa's story too. I do like Tom Hardy being slightly more of an action character. I think it lends more to the action-y-ness of it. But needless to say, when you walk out of this movie, you go, the character that rings out in my head is Charlize Theron. I mean, she's just awesome in this. And the character design alone of just having that badass mechanical arm.
So sick.
That she has that one moment where she realizes like everything's gone to shit. She just takes it off and lets it fall by her side. What a great shot.
Oh.
That shot sticks out to me. And then another shot color-wise that sticks out to me is as it's turning from day to night, there's this fucking rad shot of as the camera cranes all the way down from like 3 stories down as the war machines are kind of coming at it at the cavalcade, and it just goes underneath the cars.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I wonder if they did that practically because they did a lot of shit practically.
Oh,
in
yeah,
this.
for sure,
Most of the
for
stuff was
sure.
done practically.
The one shot that looked insanely practical, that I was like, there's no way that could be real. But when they like drove over, when the 2 ladies were underneath the car and it went over them.
Yeah, I don't think they did
Like that
for
shit
real.
looked that's what's kind of like surprising about how bad the CG can look in some spots and how really impressive it can look in some spots. I felt like it was really touch and go there for whether like, oh, this shot looks insanely impressive and other ones look like we, filmed it on with an Elgato green screen,
Well, to me, it's forgivable because anything they did practically is amazing. Like, there's a moment where the monster truck fucking, like, Morton Joe gets pissed and he, like, launches the truck, like, 30 feet in the air. And there's, like, one homie that I think is a real stunt guy hanging off the fucking truck. And as the truck lands, he, like, almost falls off under the wheel. And you're like, I mean, I'm assuming he was hooked in, safety harness, but that shit looks real.
Yep.
And it was really, really intense. And then just the fact that they're like, we're just going to smash so many. I mean, you have to imagine $100 million of that budget was just cars that got fucking exploded.
For sure, dude.
It's all awesome.
Yeah.
All cool stuff.
Very, very cool. We're going to break it all down plot point by plot point after a word from our sponsors.
Got another one, y'all, that I'm not sure if I can execute. We're gonna try it. Okay, we're gonna try it.
He's getting up. He's getting up.
I recorded a loop. All right, here we go. I'm on a road warrior and Morton Joe. This is the story for Fury Road.
Hell yeah.
I fucking did it.
That was awesome.
Oh, what a lovely day.
Sorry.
There it is. Ooh,
So I kept playing.
that felt
It
good.
was looped.
Great job, Andy. Oil wars, water wars, nuclear wars. We got all the wars. We get a little brief history of what caused this. It doesn't really
Rad.
matter.
Love this.
'Cause
I love
guess
it every
what?
time they do it. But like I feel like in this one, they just
Gasoline.
They did the
Guzzling.
Guzzling is just such a cool Mad Max thing. Like
Yeah.
just over time, it just changes enough.
Yeah, there's 2 things in here that are the polar opposite for me as far as like visceral reactions. Guzzling just sounds like something fucking cool and visceral, something you want to fight for. Then there's the mother's milk, where you just, I don't know if I want to splash that on my face.
No. See, I didn't think the guzzling was that cool because to me it read like Borderlands-y,
Yeah.
kind of like a little bit hokey, but
Well, it's their parlance, right? It's just gasoline, but they call it gasoline because everything's like rock and roll, like
Well,
right?
Borderlands made all of it hokey, and
Yeah.
you know, like that's Borderlands' fault. Don't put that on Max.
Oh, Max.
So we get our first shot of Max here standing next to his interceptor, which is rad. And again, I don't know where this places him in time because if it wasn't for the music box, I would say okay, this is before Road Warrior, but because
I don't remember seeing the music box in this.
Zoe Kravitz is playing with it for like 1 second.
Oh, I didn't see
That's
it.
super
Yeah.
rad. Okay.
So that was just like one moment where she's like playing the song, like she's turning it, and it's whatever, it's not Happy Birthday or whatever it was.
Fuck, that's
the kid
really
was
cool.
playing with. So again, it breaks my brain because he lost the interceptor forever in Road Warrior. He just didn't have it past that point.
And he gave the music box to the little fucking
It's a little kid, so
who then became the leader of the
so maybe this
whatever.
The
is
North.
between him finding the music box and then going to the gyro cat. There'd be a lot of shit that happened.
Yeah, a lot of
shit.
It's possible.
Yeah, I like the little gecko we see, and then he like turns. He has like 2 heads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa. it's
So
sick.
obviously, nuclear war is playing a little bit more of a part in this than it was before. Yeah, in the prior ones, it was mostly just a breakdown of society, and everyone got into war over water and gasoline and all that stuff. In this one, everyone's got cancer nodules all over their neck, and pretty much all the war boys are dying. Presumably, you have to imagine the water's probably radioactive. I don't know. Maybe all these people are dying. Whatever. They're near something that's bad, but it doesn't matter because Max eats the CG gecko. As he says, it was hard to know who was more crazy, me or everyone else. And then he looks out for a second, and then he immediately runs into his car, rips off, and then 3 seconds later, boom, the war boys are on him.
so sick.
Really cool shot.
What a great the energy's here.
And you want to talk about sound design, right? ADR being what it is, notwithstanding, the sound design of the cars are just, it's so perfect and so rad in this. Of course, they catch his ass fast and bye-bye interceptor. Or so we think. This interceptor could be apparently rebuilt very, very easily, even though the fact that it is pure steel and would be very, very hard to redo that steel. But it doesn't matter. They drag his ass back into the Citadel, where they shave his head, and then they start tattooing all of his vital signs onto his back, including the fact that he is type whatever blood that is a universal donor. I find this scene to be,
But high octane, right?
I don't know what that, I don't even know why they would put that on there.
It's the rock and roll.
I thought that
They call him high octane. Yeah, you're not wrong, but I don't know what that means specifically.
I
it's just-
assumed that whatever science that they're dealing with in the future or whatever, like whatever ways that they've kind of changed science is like they, for some reason, they feel like that blood inside him is like literally high octane because when fucking Nicholas Holt, his character, is like, oh, get the blood bag or whatever. He's got that high octane blood. He'll like get me right back up or
I
whatever.
I think he says like he's feral or something.
yeah,
I just assumed that was like he was like, this guy's got a lot of fight because he escapes after this and nearly it beats the shit out of a bunch of people. So I just assumed they were like he's young and virile and has
Look it
that.
up.
You can look that up,
Yeah.
sure. But either way, I do know that he's a type, whatever it is, that he's a universal blood
it's
donor.
O.
Oh, thank you. Which
And-
is why they like him so much.
This scene was crazy. Like him getting the tattoos was like, oh shit, like what a cool, like it explains so much about where he's at right there. But even the scene of him getting there where he's like chained to the back of the car, like leashed to it as like they like so he has to keep up with this moving vehicle to like get there. It's like, damn, this is Mad Max
Langley in the
as hell.
chat says type O equals high octane. O for octane. Octane.
Oh.
Because it's everything go everywhere, I guess. Which is not actually doesn't make any sense because high octane gas cannot. Actually, I guess it can go in every engine. Just kind of waste in lower level engines. Anyway, this was the first scene where you're like, okay, we're in a Mad Max movie, right? Because the idea of tattooing someone's vitals onto their back with a dirty ass needle is
Gross.
very Mad Max.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
very disturbing visually. It's twisted to think about, and it's very much
Ripe for infection.
places us right in the Mad Max universe. Of course, we're seeing the war boys here who will have scars on their faces, whether they've been mangled or mangled themselves. They're pale. They've got nodules all over them.
What's going on with the pail?
I think that's just like a cult thing because
I
of
thought
Morton
that was
Joe's
paint,
pale.
right?
It's paint. Yeah, I mean the little boys that work up in the elevator shaft are all pale. I think that's just by design. Maybe it's. I mean, if I'm making up headcanon, maybe it's sunscreen because they're out in the sun constantly. Who knows?
I thought it was like a tribal thing.
Feels like maybe one of the lower things for them to worry about in a post-apocalyptic
Well, you
world.
got cancer, so what are you worried so much about melanoma? You know, but
I should have watched this on Prime Video. Actually,
Oh, yeah.
I needed all
Yeah.
this. Needed the X-ray.
I watched it on Prime Video. I love Prime Video, but my problem is I watch it on Prime Video and only have like a 1440p screen, so I can never watch it in 4K. It's always 1080p on the tiny little. Doesn't matter. That's why when you guys talk about the CG, I'm like, sure, CG. Didn't see any of that. It's just a kind of a blur in the background of shit.
And dude, legitimately, when they first start to drop the water out to everybody, and there's all those like green screen shots, I had the exact thought of like, kind of wish I was watching this in 1080p, so this stuff would be like a little bit less noticeable to me.
Max, of course, bursts out, escapes from the war boys. We see all these shots that we don't like with the daughter. You let us die, all the people from his past. It's like, you're beating us over the head with this. We get a sense here that Max is very strong. He's smart. He's cunning. He knows how to like traverse the landscape and try to get out of here. But unfortunately, when he bursts out of the cliffside, he sees the citadel. He sees the greenery up top. He sees all the people starving to death on the bottom and dehydrated at the bottom. And then he tries to jump for the crane, but the war boys pull him back and they put like fucking.
Dude, it's so
something
cool,
over his
man. Like
face
the
and drag
hook
him
on the
back in.
crane and him jumping with the cuffs and like getting it, but then swinging back and them grabbing. It's like, damn, that was tight.
Freaking terrifying.
And then, of course, we
That
have the
one
title
dude
screen.
just bites the dust.
Mad Max Fury Road.
What an opener,
So
right?
cool.
Like, what a great title screen hit. Like, everything we saw, it set the stage for where we're at. And it's just like, I was so invested at this moment of like, where are they going with this?
We get introduced to our main character, Furiosa here. We see the back of her neck. She has been, in fact, branded, just as Max has been branded now with the Morton Joe Citadel logo of the steering wheel with like the skull in it. Which
Dude, the
Cool.
steering wheels in general, I know we'll get to it, but like this logo and it being everywhere and them all treating the steering wheels like they're these like special things is V8. I'm like, God, this is awesome.
It's a cult. She takes control, of course, of this tanker. She is now on a mission. She's been sent to a mission to go to Gasoline Town or whatever it is to trade with them. We set up there's Gas Town, and then there's the Bullet Farm. That's where they get their guns. One is where they get and presumably the Citadel is where all the food is grown for everyone. So this is where these three towns are trading with
So
each
rad,
other.
man. I love this because the last couple movies have all in different ways set up the different factions and worlds that exist. I love here, though, them just saying it and them being so on the nose of Bullet Farm and I'm already blanking on what the other one was. Guzzling Town. Yeah, it's like, this is awesome. This is how this type of economy might actually rise up. And because I've watched the other movies recently, I'm like, oh, they're about to be led by some fucking weirdos. We're going to see them. And they're going to have vehicles that are like suited a certain way. And like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, they showed up with those for
Oh, they
sure.
went there. The first of which, of course, we're going to meet the leader of the Citadel, who is Immortan Joe. This dude. What I mean, you
The
want to talk about
character design.
awesome. We see him at first, of course. He's he's just pale white skin, all the stuff, and then they strap on his armor, they put on his face mask, and he's got the breathing machine that's like behind his neck that's breathing constantly. Amazing.
Amazing,
Hair.
man. Joey dropped a knowledge,
Oh, yeah.
a trivia bomb on
Do
this.
you know who plays Morton Joe?
I know the guy's name, but I don't recognize him.
It
from
is
anything.
Toe Cutter.
From the first movie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
way.
Super fucking cool.
Whoa, it is. That's
How wild is that?
wild.
Like, he must be the oldest man
Oh my
ever.
God.
He was toe cutter. Whoa, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's where they got him back. That makes sense. Yeah, he looks exactly like himself.
It's a little hard
course.
because you never really see his face. So
Well,
it
no,
doesn't
I mean,
really
you see for like
matter,
a brief second, but not really. But that's cool. They got him back. That's a rad little Easter egg there.
You see the lack thereof.
He, of course, is giving a speech. I love, by the way, this just for a second, talk about the production design. As the tanker's being lowered, they show how it's being lowered, how it's being raised, and it's just massive, like mills up above with kids
Yeah.
just doing
like
a stair
stair
stepper
climbing.
up and down it. Wild. Morton
I feel
Joe.
like Mike would love that stir, man.
In the post-apocalyptic
I
world,
climbed
that
4
would be
Everest
his
this morning.
job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I climbed 4 Mount Everest. No, you did not. You really didn't, Mike. He's giving a speech, of course, to all of his people, and he praising his Imperator Furiosa for her service to the cause.
What a cool class. Whatever that, like, I don't know where that ranks amongst, like, whatever these classes are, but that Imperator is just such a cool fucking word.
I mean, the world building. I feel like this movie's like dialogue goes farther than the other movies. In like every sentence, there's not many of them, but everyone has some point of being said to explain a class system or just where the world's at, or like kind of the why things are happening in the most weird ass like Mad Max way. But I really appreciated that because it like kind of contextualizes a lot of what otherwise could just be action for action's sake. But it's like, oh no, there's levels to all of this.
Do you think any of the random, like, in-world curse words were just made up for the movie, or do you think some of them are like random Australian things that
sure
George
it's
Miller came up
Yeah.
with?
I do want to note that looking through, as I was looking through the X-ray on Amazon, there are multiple Imperators in this. So some of the they're like the leaders of the other like crews are the Imperators. So she's not the only one, which is cool.
Very
It goes
cool.
Immortan, who is immortal, Joe, and then his Imperators, I think, are the next like lieutenants, and then from there we've got the War Boys, and then whatever the little ones are called, I don't know, and then the wives, of course.
Yeah,
And then
they
Milk
refer to the
Mommies.
little ones at some point.
Something,
War
yeah.
pigs, was it? Like the
Maybe
pigs?
something like that.
Something.
War Boy. I'll look at it as we go. Either way, she sets about, and off we go into the wild of yonder. Max, being of course full life, is sent out to replenish the blood of the war boy Nux, who was running on empty. I like the little exchange here. Is he even though he's dying, he still wants to go out. He won't let the guy take his car. He won't let him take his position because he wants to, of course, be witnessed, and he wants to die a glorious death and go to the gates of Valhalla for Immortan Joe.
We also, before we get down there and we see them all getting crazy about riled up and going to go fight or whatever, we see this like haunting shot of these women just getting pumped. For
Oh my God.
for their
Yeah.
milk, and we
For their
just see
breast
them
milk.
all up there, and it's just like, oh my God. And again, it's like just such great use of screen time to like paint where we're at and like what's going on. And I feel like that is such a haunting shot that is then backed up by the plot of this movie and characters of the movie so well that it's like, wow, that could have just been some weird disturbing shit, but it's like y'all had some great payoffs for it.
We also meet the two other sons of Immortan Joe. We have the big guy who is Rictus Erectus. And then we have the little guy who is Corpus Colossus.
Oh, that's a good. Wow.
Some great names in
The
this one.
coolest possible names.
And let me
in
tell
this
you,
movie.
wait till we get to the wives' names, because those are wild. I'll get to those in a hot second. Of course, before you know it, Charlize Theron veers off track. She's able to tell her squad, hey, it was a secret mission. We're going to this thing for as long as she possibly can. Joe learns that she's veered off track. Of course, figures out something's amok, runs into his bank vault that he has built into the side of the mountain where he keeps his 5 wives, and they are, of course, gone. And there's a message that is written on the floor that says, our babies will not be warlords, and we are not property, and all that stuff. And again, you want to talk about just a twisted environment to place the viewer. Witnessing this, seeing how he keeps his wives and basically has a baby farm. Crazy.
So crazy.
The war drums sound. The war boys grab their steering wheels off of this badass rack. Nux, of course, gets in his fight, but he's like, screw it, we'll bring my blood bank with me. Important to note, poor Tom Hardy had to wear this fucking face mask on his face for so long that he was probably like, yes, it feels good. Now I want it. Christopher Nolan, what if I wore a mask the entire time? What if no one could understand me in the first cut?
Goes that high pitch.
It's cool though, man. Off we go, and of course, everything's been sounded. They now signal Gasoline Town. They sell Bull Farm Town. They're all coming, of course, because Immortan Joe's like the big bad boss, and they all heed the call.
Another super cool thing is like, how do they do that call? They shoot up colored smoke flares.
Sick.
Like, that's just tight, man.
And they do them like practically too. So
Yeah.
as the drones fly or whatever, you see these smoke
So
plumes. And
rad.
this is cool.
I did have some questions about when, it's kind of being revealed to all of the war boys and to all of the bad guys, like, oh shit, she's going rogue. What is she doing or whatever? I didn't fully understand why it, like, they're fighting each other, and then the war boy that was with her the whole time was still like,
Well, he thought she was on a secret mission, and so because they're not fighting each other. At one point, a group of like raiders spots them from there's like another clan of raiders that are the
porcupine
guys that are
people.
like the porcupines.
but then like Nicholas Holt was like, get out of the way. I don't know. I was kind of just confused by.
Well,
maybe it was a different.
It wasn't
clan.
Nicholas Holt. The guy that's on the ship.
No,
with
but
her is
Nicholas
on-
Holt was like trying to shoot Furiosa, but the other war boy was in front of the door, and he was like, move out of the fucking, like he's trying to like shoot her or whatever, and then it's then when a little bit after that, the main war boy that was with her, that is not Nicholas Holt, looked at her and was like, why can't you stop this car? What did you
Right.
do?
What's
what do
going
you
on?
know? So I don't know. It may have been the other clans kind of getting involved that threw me for a little
It's
bit.
also
of a
like
loop.
really loud cars as well, so maybe it's just like they're trying to get across like he can't hear Nicholas Holt yelling at him, and he's like more paying attention to like, oh, she's not responding to any question. Now that we're done fighting this other clan, she's not responding to anything I'm asking her.
This scene's bonkers. The first raid is absolutely insane. Of course, the climax of which is Nux's Lancer, who is a guy that like I guess is like a second in command that like throws fucking spears and like light shit on
Right
fire.
next to
He gets an arrow in the
Hardy's
face,
face.
and then pulls out the silver spray paint and sprays his mouth.
Dude.
And says, "Witness me."
It was
He
like through the
sacrifices
back of
himself.
his head, and like, man, that shit looks so gnarly.
The spray paint was so cool. Like
I meant to look it up. I was like, it's got to be food spray paint, right? You can't be spray painting your mouth as an
Oh,
actor
yeah.
with real spray paint.
Oh, it's
I'm
definitely
sure.
it's definitely food spray paint. Yeah,
So they were like, just go hard, just hold your breath.
yeah.
God.
It's bad.
All that stuff was just so cool. Like it's just so it's again just disturbing as fuck and so culty, but like seeing it, them being so white and then just with the silver and all the way that they shake and stuff, it's like, God, this is disturbing, man.
We meet the first of the wives here, the Splendid, played by Rosie Huntington Whitley. Who,
Do you know who she is?
Well, she's Jason Statham's wife, among other things, but she was also in the Transformers, and she was also a Victoria's Secrets model.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dark of the Moon.
Oh my
We
god,
like connecting all the in reviews, you know?
Oh yeah.
Transformers and Mad Max Pipeline.
My
I
wife
don't know if
is in a
she's still married to
Transformers
Jason
movie.
Statham or not. We should
I have
look
no
that
idea.
up.
I had
She
no
was for a
idea.
hot second.
Yeah, it took us a while because we were watching it and we're like, is that Zoe Kravitz? It is. Is that the girl from Transformers 3? It is. Also, this shot we see.
Which is another Saw-esque
Oh, definitely.
moment in this.
Perhaps I'm jumping around here, but like, this is the first time we see all of them, right? The women? Or
Yes,
is it
we've
just-
now we're now. I think we just see Splendid, but no, this is not the first time we see all of them. I think we've seen like moments of them, but like
The shot where we see all of them.
that's
in
after
the
the
car.
sandstorm.
they're in the desert. Like,
That's post sandstorm.
Okay,
Post
I'll
crash.
say
They go through the sandstorm, of course. This is when Max gets free, but he's still tied. He's still chained to Nux. They go in. We get this great shot of like as she's ping ponging cars up, they're getting lifted by the sandstorm's tornado-like
Awesome.
energy, just
Dude,
exploding in the
coolest.
air.
Dude,
One of the
those-
coolest things.
Those aerial explosions, all like, I'm so glad that George Miller just let that fucking like, no, we're just gonna leave these shots kind of roll in because like, why cut when this looks so amazing and there's like fire and the tornadoes and stuff.
dude, this whole scene, fucking awesome. The shot of them, like the super wide shot of them getting into the sandstorm for the first time, so fucking cool. All of this was, my jaw was dropped. Like I couldn't handle it. Well, I'm like, this is the most insane thing ever. But I don't understand what's happening. Like, what is this tornado? And
It's
why is
just a
there like
massive-
lightning and shit in it? And like,
Is that a storm thing?
I mean, it's a sandstorm,
It's a
and
sandstorm.
traditionally,
Yeah.
for sandstorms I've seen in movies like Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning, for instance, it's just sand.
yeah.
It's just a big gust of sand coming at you.
You assume in the
Dune,
future
same
lightning
thing.
gets involved.
But you have to imagine
that's
there's-
the thing. I just like there was something about this that I'm like, this is undeniably cool as fuck. And like I know science go far here. I know that there might be something, but there was something about this that I'm like, this feels cool for cool's sake. And I'm actively questioning what the fuck is actually going on here.
nuclear tornadoes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Any explanation, I get it. I know.
Yeah.
Like that's all that it is. It's Mad Max
Cool
world, so
visuals.
this shit happens. But like,
Forget everything you know.
I feel like a
very
lot of
scary.
the cool shots in this too reminded me of like surfing documentaries when they were like in the curl of the wave and stuff like that. And I was just like, this is so cool.
yeah.
Of course, Max wakes up buried in the sand, tries to free himself, but realizes he's still chained to Nux. He looks over and he sees for the first time, like off in the distance, the tanker and all the wives and Furiosa. And so,
He tries to bite off them nucks.
well, at first we get a little homage to the original Mad Max or Road Warrior, where he takes the double barrel and tries to blow his hand off, and it just
Yeah.
uses out, which is a cool little,
Very,
little
very cool. I also love
Easter
the
egg
same
moment.
gun too. Like just look at it.
We
I'm
get
like,
the
that-
double barrel a lot. in
Yeah,
this, which
it's
is
rad.
nice.
It's rad.
So then we cut
The
to
shot though, I was like, it was stunning. Like when we see these women looking pristine and like in like obviously they are beautiful and just like they're scantily clad, but in like pure white and like the way that this is shot of them kind of like cleaning themselves in the desert and the use of
They
color.
look like
and
an
everything.
oasis.
It was the first
a
time
mirage,
that
yeah.
we're seeing like clean anything in the Mad Max universe, and it's like the cleanest thing ever. And it was really cool seeing them because the only white we've seen in this movie so far is the war dogs, like themselves, war boys. And to see it instead be presented this way, it's like this beauty in so much dirty and nasty was like, I think very like powerful,
Visually striking,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was like, oh wow, this is very different for the Mad Max movies, and I think that it's like a very smart call because it like immediately feels like there's so much more to protect than we've had before. And like in Beyond Thunderdome, like there was the kids and the Oasis that we had or whatever, and it's like that kind of had this vibe. But I think that because this movie just turns everything up to like the most saturation, the most vibrancy, all of that, it was even more striking.
I think even more so, it showed you that like, the power of water. Like, man, this shit, it quenches your thirst, Tim, but you also get real clean. People forgot like what clean people look like.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like you don't have water to wash yourself. You barely have water to drink. And it's just like it was such a cool sort of design choice there.
I do want to point out also that juxtaposed with the sort of
Juxtaposed.
and there you go.
Wow.
Angelic nature of these five women in there. You want me to do it again?
Oh my fucking! I think it died. Oh no, wait, hold on. Just say it again, Tim.
Juxtaposed.
Well, you say it first. Say it,
Juxtaposed.
Now you, Tim.
Juxtaposed.
There you go.
Nailed it. First
Worth
try.
it. Juxtaposed, I guess, with the sort of Vestal Virgin, angelic, white garb of these women and the cleanliness of them. They are, in fact, cutting off chastity belts which have spiked teeth on them.
Oh, yeah, dude.
So,
So
you do get that
gnarly.
Remind me of Men in
gnarly
Tights.
visual. Yeah,
Remember Men in Tights?
that?
Yeah, it has the lock.
She got out of the thing, and you were like, oh,
Yeah.
that's tough, man. You can't get out of that.
Scary movie.
That's the one. Like, how do you keep everything clean? What's in this fucking truck? What's in the tanker? Is it water? Is it milk? Is it gas? What the fuck's in this thing? Because I see three different things. One time a bullet goes through, white stuff comes out, and he's like, what the fuck is that? Mother's milk, and he washes his face. But in this, it's just gallons of water.
The one in the far back
Was
is gas.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the gas she was going to trade the bikers for.
I got to
but
assume.
then what's in the other? There's one other tank, and it's either mother's milk or
well,
water.
I got to assume it's like
Divided?
it's it's
got
cut off in the
Partitioned.
middle,
Yeah.
partitioned. Yeah.
Because I was just thinking, like,
There was 3 things, right? 3
was there?
tankers? Isn't there?
Oh.
Well,
there's
there was
only
the lead car that's pulling the big tanker with the small tanker of gas in the back.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But also, like, how pure cream is mother's milk? Because that shit's going to get fucking nasty in there.
Yeah,
after the heat
it's
of
gotta
the
be
Doesn't it
sun.
need to
real
be like
smelly.
refrigerated?
Pretty sure it does. Usually when they do milk trucks, like milk tankers, they're like refrigerated milk tankers. You put a little refrigeration in that. Yeah, it's only one thing. What the fuck? What is there water or not? I think they're playing fast and loose with that. Because right there is where it like starts leaking right in the middle of it, and that's the mother's milk. But I could have swore that was also where they were getting the water earlier today.
And there's also definitely like a place for people to crawl through because they would constantly crawl through the bottom front of the tanker to get into the kind of main crawling unit because that's where all of the wives were hidden as well.
Yeah.
So you
Unless
have
they
to
crawl
imagine there's
underneath.
different like sections of this huge tanker
Sure.
inside.
Fucking cool design though. Anyway, we have a little back and forth, little fight between Furiosa and Max here, which is very well choreographed. Of course, he's still chained to this guy. They end up cutting the chain off. He ends up hijacking the truck, but moments later it stalls.
She's going for the gun, man.
And she's got lots of guns. Cool scene where he puts the gun on her, like he's holding her down, and then Nux puts the magazine on the sand, and he just pops it in. Does that like a cool thing where he cocks the gun with just like the side of his leg and just pow, 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 like 3 shots by your head. Like, let's
Fucking
calm
awesome.
the fuck down.
The sound design there was real good.
Also, the music kicking in here, like Junkie XL was going off. Like I feel like
You give that man a guitar and Junkie XL.
just
like,
let him
I'll
go.
eat. Let me just eat.
But he kind of rips this movie. I feel like this movie has such great understanding of when to go big with the
Yeah.
sound and the music and when to just kind of like let it just be a little bit. But the amount of the staccato, like the da 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 da, oh my god, so
Dude, no, man. The way that I don't know if it was this sequence that we just saw, or it's likely when the action starts picking up, but it's the banging on the tanker because they're fixing it, and the fast kind of like hitting of the tanker like ends on tempo with how the drums kind of kick in. That shit was really cool.
That one was dope. Oh,
Love here, of course, it stalls out and Max can't get it started again. She runs up. They bargain, of course. She's like,
I have a password.
I'm the only person that knows how to do this. They're coming. Do you want that thing off your face or not? And he's like, fuck it, let's go.
She does, she goes, speak friend and enter.
Speak French and enter.
That's how they start the car.
Oh.
Lord of the Rings, remember, like
Yeah,
the
no,
secret
no,
door.
no,
Speak
no,
friend and
no,
enter.
catching up.
Melon. Man, we should watch The Hobbit.
Remember
in
when they were
review.
just sitting in front of that door for the longest time? He's like, fuck, how do we figure out this door? And then the thing comes out of the water.
So cool.
Cool movie.
It's a good
Should
movie.
redo those. We get a comedic beat here where he's taking all the guns out of everywhere. She's got guns everywhere. The one, of course, he does miss is that she's got a knife in the shift mechanism.
sick.
War Boy approaches too. He's back on the truck. He pops in, but they kick his ass out.
I would, you know what? I would put like little sweet tarts and Smarties in that little compartment in the stick shift.
It's one of those things. If I'm ever
no Tic Tacs.
unfortunate enough to need a walker or a cane, I'm gonna get one of those that's like a hard, clear plexiglass and fill them all up with M&Ms. So as I walk, I leave
So
trails
melted.
of M&Ms for all the kids. So melted.
You bring up Tic Tac Show. That's a funny thing. It's like, let's go take over their car. They have gasoline. Nope. All Tic Tacs.
You want the Tic Tac car?
It's all Fruit Adventure Tic Tacs. It's a fruitless adventure for you.
Nick
all.
going for the Tums car.
Oh God, I had Tums last night. They were so good.
Why
I gotta
do you,
bring some in.
Why do you just wreck your mine? Isn't weird. The Fruit Adventure
No, that's
candy.
weird.
The Fruit Adventure candy is not weird.
I'll go on a limb and say it's not weird.
It's weird.
It's a sweet candy.
There was a time when I was trying to eat as clean as possible, where I would go occasionally without anyone knowing. I would sneak over to a gas station and just get a ton of those orange Tic Tacs.
Yeah.
And I would eat the whole fucking thing and went down the ride home. I'd be making calls.
It's a little candy. You're not like, I need to freshen my breath. Let me eat some Skittles. You don't
But
do
it
that.
does freshen your breath too.
I mean, it makes
Except for the
your-
orange ones, it makes your breath
mouth
smell like bad orange.
makes your mouth feel good. But like, you know what I mean? Like, but you're going home and like, let me chew on these things that are gonna help heartburn.
At least just have like a purpose. Yours are just recreational.
Yeah,
Mine
mine
are
make me
candy.
stronger.
That's what
Yeah.
candy is, Joe.
Mine are candy that make my bones denser.
Everyone listen to the KF podcast this week if you want to hear
Okay,
way
maybe-
more details about
yeah.
Nick's Tums.
Turns out I'm actually a lot
not
more
while you're
immune to
eating.
calcium than I thought I was. Went 500 over the
Why'd
max.
you wink?
Don't wink at me.
What was the
Still
purpose of
living.
the wink? There was
Still here, still kicking. Anyway, Furiosa goes into the canyons here. Now that's where we meet the raiders who are up into the canyon. She's made a deal with them. Give the gas, you let me through. Of course, that shit all goes sideways beforehand. She's like, what's your name? And he's like, what does it matter? She's like, fine, I'll just call you fool. So when you hear me say fool, you'll know to start the fucking car
do
and
the
go.
thing.
I mean, this shit was sick of her being like, if things go to shit,
Yeah, it's like
here's
and-
the fucking password.
Do you
Speak friend
think-
and enter.
Now let's go around the table, because this always happens in movies, right? They give you a phone number or they give you this sequence of things.
You didn't
I think
remember,
I
right?
remember. No fucking way. Wait,
No.
what was it again? Write it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that in
Yeah,
a high
no,
stress
wait, hold
situation.
on. Let me get my phone out.
Yeah.
All right.
Can you
Go.
give me a
Hold on,
mnemonic
I was filming the wrong
device
way.
for
Let me
it?
go this way. It was like 1, 2, 3. Right.
Hold on, I
left,
took a
red,
photo.
Red, black,
My
red.
bad.
She
I'm
even
like,
said it in a weird way too, where like I didn't understand what she was saying
She's like,
until it
onesies,
showed it, and I was
twosies.
like, oh, okay, cool.
onesies, twosies, onesies.
You're,
Why
you're
don't
so
you have
right.
an accent?
Yeah. Yeah, what's going
What's
on?
your
there?
accent?
You're right.
You
And
grew
I
up
mean-
in this place.
And she's also British in real life, so like she could have kind of gotten halfway
I
there.
don't think she is. I think she's South African.
Huh.
Yeah. I think she has a little Afrikaans accent, but I
You
don't
know
think
what?
anymore.
You know what?
Rosie Whittington.
I'm thinking of
how
her
many is British,
character in Arrested Development. That's what that was. That's what that was.
though? Amazing.
I one line we skipped over that I really liked was when one of the women gets shot a little bit, and she goes, "Of all the legs you had to shoot, you shot the one attached to his favorite." It's
Yeah.
like, oh,
So
Yeah.
we do establish here. We can go through the names of the women. So this splendid Agarand is Rosie Huntington Whitley. She is the main wife. We also have the Dag. We have Cheetos.
The
Personal-
dag.
The Dag is one of them.
Who,
Cheeto the Fragile.
Which actress is the dad?
Abby Lee, who I think is the one from the Yellow Jackets.
I don't think it's her. I think it's the other one.
Is this lady?
No, I don't think she's the Yellow Jackets
Okay.
one.
I never watched Yellow Jackets, so you have to. Maybe Courtney Eaton is Cheeto the Fragile.
Yeah, she plays
the one
one of the.
Oh yeah. She's the one that wants to constantly turn coat and go back. She wants to go back. She wants to go
what
back.
a great dynamic.
Yeah,
great
she
dynamic.
plays the like cult leader girl.
We also have Zoe Kravitz is Toast the Knowing,
She's so baby in
Sick.
this too.
and then Riley Keough is Capable. That's her name.
Love
Capable.
her.
Very cool. Of course, she's the one that.
is the best name? Name that name. What is the best name? Name that name. What is the best name? What was that noise?
Sounded like Toretto growling.
Laying down some baseball.
That name.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to back. What is the next name? Name that name. Tim? Do you have the list?
I do.
I did not know what you were doing there, man.
How do you put words to music?
It's like he thought. It's like he thought, like, you know, sometimes when if you're playing a guitar on stage, you'll like find a way you'll kill the sound and tune it that way. But you didn't know that you were like audible in that moment.
I was laying down just some nice bass vocals for you. Look, you're gonna listen back to this podcast. Everyone knows they heard it.
Everyone knows.
You
They
can't hear
know.
with your ears because it doesn't go through the compression of the board. That shit sounded fire.
So Name That Name is where we rank the movies based on the names of the characters in that film. So currently at first place we have Thunderdome, which is Master Blaster, Dr. Dealgood, and Auntie Entity.
God, Dr. Dealgood, come on,
Yeah.
man.
At second place we have the second movie, Humongous and Golden Youth.
Golden Youth.
And then third place, Toe Cutter.
Where do we want to rank Imperator Furiosa? I guess she's not really a bad guy, right? But I guess is it?
Well,
is
just
it-
name,
we're
we're just
just
naming names,
Impure-
man.
Imperator Furiosa, Immortan Joe, and
But you named like 2 or 3 earlier that were not the
Rictus
Cheeto figure.
Erectus.
So cool.
and the other one.
The
other
Colossus,
brother.
Corpus Colossus.
Corporate, like that's a cool name, man.
I just think the fact that it's Immortan Joe,
Yeah.
it's like that
Joseph.
high low. You're immortal, but she's Joe.
He's
She's
just a
right.
Joe,
Hey,
man.
it's my friend Joe. It's a regular guy. What about Joe?
This is Joe
Joe the
Biden
plumber. Remember Joe the
impression.
plumber? Joe the plumber's coming to tell you, you vote for him, you vote for me. You like plumbers? Everyone needs a plumber until you need one.
I like that Immortan Joe.
Immortan Joe's my great guy. We're gonna build a wall around the city.
I
How
agree
do we
with a lot
always
of
end
things
up
he
here?
We're
does.
gonna keep out all the water unless we need water. Then we're gonna put the water in.
I hate this shot. This fucking Trump off shot. There didn't need to be one. We had a Joe and we had a Trump, but then we needed 2 Trumps. You know?
Correct, Tim. We needed 0.
We needed 0. We needed 0.
I'll never forget
Somehow
when
we got 2.
I'll never forget when I was sick with COVID and I was out for like a week and a half. And when I finally came back, Kevin was like, Andy, Nick hasn't done any impressions since you've been gone. He only does that when you're here and you do them.
It's fun to do. Dude. Tim won't do it with me. I tried.
Oh, yeah, now it's my problem.
We
Joey.
get in the car. I was like, Tim, let's fucking just give me your best
Impression.
Obama. And he
Let
just
me
won't do
hear
it. He won't
So
do
where
it.
do we want to put Imperator Furiosa, Immortan Joe,
Corpus
Rictus
Colossus.
I mean, is this just number 1?
That's
Like,
number 1.
Here's the thing.
So
Like,
cool.
I would say I think that it's number 2 because I think Master Blaster, Dr. Deal,
No,
and
that's
Nazi
true.
Entity.
No,
is
yeah, I
like
think you're right.
Unbeatable.
Master Blaster is the baddest fucking name
It's
you could
the fucking-
possibly
for
put
what
into
it was.
Especially with a little
It's
guy and
2
a big guy's
people.
shoulders.
Yeah.
Come on. And he's controlling him like Ratatouille.
Why did you say it like that?
Ratata.
You here. Not a Tom Nut.
I think if they had one name in here that was more silly in the vein of how Master Blaster, he's Master on top and that's Blaster. Like if they had something more silly like that, I think these names are more badass, but they don't make me like giggle. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Well, I
I
like the
think that
giggle
they-
factor.
I think it gets a little negative point because I think all the wife names are like really boring.
I do like Cheeto, though.
One's called the Valkyrie, though. I think I missed that.
Oh.
That's
pretty
not one of the
fucking-
wives,
Yeah,
is
it's Megan Gale, I think, was the Valkyrie.
What about Crying Wolf?
Oh no. Maybe
was
this
really
was the lady
crying.
that was on the
Oh no, she's one of the
she's one of
older
the
ladies.
older
Yeah.
ladies, yeah, you're right. They call her the Valkyrie. She's the one that was on the tower, naked on the tower. Like the red herring where Max goes,
yeah.
that's
That's
bait."
bait. Yeah.
Mm,
Love
There
that.
we go.
Let's keep going,
Did we
guys.
decide? Is it number 2?
I think
Yeah,
number 2.
let's do number 2.
Can we do another podcast? Oh, Andy's leaving, so we can't do it. That's okay. Go pee-pee. We'll do it at the
No,
end.
I'm ready.
Give me a funky beat. Something nasty. Drop me a nasty beat.
All right, he wants a funky beat. Hold on. Here we go.
Maximum. Which max was the maximum? Maximum. Max. Which max was the maximum? What's up, everybody? Welcome to a new podcast, and a podcast called Maximum. Which max is the best max? Who do we think is the better Max after watching these 2 movies? Do we think Mel Gibson's bringing it with his incredible character arc from just a normal cop doing a normal job, a little too old for this shit, to a psychotic father of all these children, versus Tom Hardy's just kind of Australian accent, kind of British accent, at one point an American accent, seeing ghosts from the past of Saw?
My take on this I don't care. I like Max. It just doesn't seem like enough of a character. Really, it's kind of like I feel like it's all just takes on an idea, and they all work. I feel like I don't really have anything negative to say about any of the performances of Max in any of the movies. And I feel like it's just really easy to make fun of Tom Hardy, and there's something to be said about that because it is like whether it's his Venom, I don't know stuff, or it's the Bane mask stuff, or just like all of it, like. Yeah, Tom Hardy, like it's hard to see this man and not think of those things, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But having said that, like I don't really have any issue with him in this movie. Like I didn't notice him. He was fine. He was there.
Okay.
It is a little bit weird that he is like taking a backseat in this movie for a Mad Max movie. Like you would think that he would be a more prominent character, but I think he just is very overshadowed by
Here's
Charlize.
the key thing, the key factor differentiating is that little white hair on the side was so cool.
You're right.
He's so fucking
You're right.
cool.
That
And
was
he's not
awesome.
wrong. And he's not
That
wrong.
was awesome.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mel Gibson #1.
Mel Gibson #1, everybody.
Max. Max. Who's the max? Maximum. He's the maximum. It's Mel. Mel, you can't spell Max without an M. Mel.
I can't believe that didn't transcend into the year.
That usually happens later, Tim. That's got to be like
The
a
year is 2025.
yeah.
Darkness. Sunshine. Darkness.
I'm gonna go pee.
Darkness, sunshine, darkness is actually a really good set of words for this movie. The day-night cycle thing that they got going on is so sick. And again, I love
Yeah.
that it's just orange or blue. There
Orange
is no
or
in
blue.
between because one of the worst things about Mad Max 2 was the night scene.
Yeah, it was
we were
tough.
like, I can't see anything that's going on.
Yeah.
Y'all needed a little bit of budget, and I fucking get it. You didn't have it, whatever. This, they're like, fuck it. I don't care. It's nighttime. Everything's blue. You can see everything. It's cool as shit.
Best use of a color blue in a movie since Twilight.
Wow. I don't have another retort. I wish I had something.
They were
Oh,
so
yeah.
shiny.
Twilight's color grading for the color blue is so significant that they sell like Twilight keychains that are just like a blue, like clear
Awesome.
thing.
Good.
So that people can
You
like
can make the
take
world
aesthetic
Twilight.
videos in
Yeah.
the Twilight color blue.
Fantastic. I love that like Twilight Blue is like Bad Boys. Like that orange, Miami.
Nothing will ever be Bad Boys. How dare you, sir? The coloring of Bad Boys.
Make you hear in the reviews?
No, but I haven't
they
seen the
terrible?
trailer for Bad Boys
I haven't
4.
seen the trailer either.
Which doesn't feel good.
The first screener people loving it. I know that doesn't mean much, but it's Bad Boys 4. Like I feel like it's not like Bad Boys 4 has like this contingent of like the movie screener bro people that are like.
I mean, it's just
dude,
me and Josh McCready.
It's just Josh.
100%. We
Pretty much.
still don't have Josh's word on it.
Back to the plot at
When does
hand.
it come out?
June 7th.
Is it
We're
weird
very
that-
close.
Do we have a trailer?
Oh, we
Yeah,
have
yeah.
multiple
Oh.
trailers.
I
We just
haven't
haven't
seen
watched them.
We got a final trailer today.
Yeah.
Oh.
So here we go, folks. All hell breaks loose. Morton Joe comes in his badass monster truck. We get away. Nick Holt gets thrown off. He's like, Morton Joe, I was on the thing. I saw the wives. He's like, get on here, man. You ride with us. Of course, he's like, I can get on the truck. I know it. I'm not gonna fuck up. And he's like, if you do this for me, I will send you to Valhalla personally. I will witness you personally. He's like, fuck, that is all I needed to hear. Jumps over the truck, immediately fucks up. Joe's like, so mediocre. Calls him mediocre.
Yeah. dude.
Yeah.
What a fucked up thing.
So tight.
Hugus erectus penisus harpoons the steering wheel. That rips off the steering wheel. Furiosa quickly thinks, puts a wrench on it, but unfortunately, she has to steer it away. Splendid almost gets hit by a rock, but then does get hit by a rock and then falls off the truck and tumbles underneath the monster truck as it veers off to not hit her and then flips over and explodes almost, but not really because it's back later in the movie. They just kind of flip it back over.
Insane.
Yeah.
So much crazy shit going on.
This is also where we get another character we're introduced to, which I think we've seen in the beginning of the movie. He was tattooing. He's the organic mechanic. Fucking badass.
Is
name
that
for a
his
character.
name?
That is his name. He is played by Angus something or other. Why the fuck can I go back? I just want to go back. Okay.
Nick.
Organic.
We have to go back.
The
When are we gonna
organic
do
mechan-
Lost in review? You know?
Angus Sampson is this guy's name. And the entire time I'm watching this movie, I was like, I know this motherfucker. He's been in some other shit.
Is it Monk?
It is not Monk. Joey, I've watched every
Biodome.
single. No, I mean he wishes he was in Biodome, and no, Not everyone was in suits.
Can
Contrary
I have
to
one
popular
last
belief.
guess?
Go for it.
Unfrosted.
You will no. He was not an unfrosted.
Okay.
You will not guess this because unfortunately, I don't think I've ever told you guys I watched every season of this show. Have you guys ever seen the movie The Lincoln Lawyer starring Matthew McConaughey?
Yeah, it was when I had to stop redboxing movies because I forgot to return them, so I own The Lincoln Lawyer on DVD.
Okay, Lincoln Lawyer, great movie. Would you believe that they retooled it and made it into a 3-season Netflix show in which this guy, Angus Sampson,
This guy
plays his lead investigator?
Wow.
So he's not the Lincoln Lawyer.
No,
Okay.
Lincoln Lawyer is a totally different dude. Not even Matthew McConaughey, just a totally different character.
Oh.
But he has
interesting.
Lincolns. But his Lincoln in this is like not a cool Lincoln. It's like an actual modern Lincoln. And it's like, those are kind of lame.
Yeah.
Of course, Tim, Lincoln Lawyer, it was a lawyer, but instead of an office, he did all of his work from the back of a Lincoln so he could just drive to his clients. But it was like a badass
Smart.
Lincoln Continental, like with the suicide doors.
Yeah.
Like they had, and of course, you'll
David
remember
Banner,
because
you
you've
know.
watched all the seasons of Entourage. Remember as the car pulls up and they all get out and it's Entourage. Fairy tale of Hollywood. None of these guys would actually get laid. I digress. She's dead, and she rolled out, and Morton Joe carries her body out. It's all mangled, and he's like, "What about?" He's like, "What about the child?" And they pull the child out, and he's like, the kid's dead, unfortunately." He's like, "Was
Also
it a
brutal,
boy?"
just to
So
see
fucking
the like
insane.
camera up shot for the doctor.
I mean, even before this, like the kickoff to this entire chase scene, there's like the moment of quiet before the storm of like, all right, like call out fool when it's time to go or whatever. And then you see the shots of her. It's like, oh, she's about to give birth. And I was just like, the stakes are so much higher than I expected them to be right now. Like, we know we're about to enter an insane chase action scene.
Right.
And she's about to pop. Did not expect her to pop the way she did.
No, and they definitely got us because I think I gasped at first, and then she like pops back out.
Yeah.
And then it was silent after
Yeah.
she falls. So it's like,
God.
oh man.
To
I
her
got
credit,
got.
though, she didn't pop. She kept that little sucker in there.
She did.
Oh shit!
She kept that sucker in there. Bah.
Splendid was pregnant, but now she's not. Because they took the baby out right through her slot. Good God.
Maybe the most inappropriate timing.
Amazing.
Oh, man, we say shit on here. Rictus is like, I had a baby brother! And he's got that weird band of shit on his... Like, he has like a weird headband on, like it's protecting his jaw, which is so creepy. It's so awesome. Great shot of the war party coming toward the
That
camera.
looks like one of those things that like before he went to set, he found it just in a drawer. Was like, what if I put this on?
Yeah,
You know what
I mean, it looks like a wrestler's ear, like, but without the ears. You know, have you ever seen
yeah.
those, like the things that protect you from getting cauliflower ear
Yeah.
when you're wrestling, like a head strap, whatever, a head protector, but without the thing. So it's just like there. It's kind of so creepy. But it's not anything that's like latexy in this universe. You know, it's got a sexual undertone.
Oh yeah.
Like he's fucking something with his chin. I'm telling you that right now.
Jeez.
Great shot of the war party coming toward the cameras. It jibs down underneath the leader as day turns to night. Toast the knowing matches bullets to the guns while capable volunteers to go watch the back. This is where she starts falling in love with Nux. She finds him crying, banging his head to the floor because he disappointed Joe. And she's like, it's going to be okay. And let me tell you, don't sleep on Riley Keough. She's fucking awesome.
Is
She was-
anybody sleeping on her?
They better not.
Okay.
Okay, because she was
Don't.
in the set. She was in
He's
the
warning you,
first season of the Girlfriend Experience, which is phenomenal, and she's great in that.
Yeah.
Very fucked up, but phenomenal. And then she was in one of my favorite movies of all time, which was Under the Silver Lake.
Oh,
A
Rank
weird
Frost?
ass fucking
No.
movie.
Andrew
Yeah, I shouldn't say
Garfield?
my favorite movies of all time. A movie that I really liked for that year that it came out.
Yeah.
Andrew Garfield, independent film. Very, very weird.
Big walk back.
Because these assholes in the live chat, the fucking fuckers watching the live, Cameron fucking Kennedy, I see your ass there.
Yeah.
He's like, noted. That's on your Wikipedia now.
Oh yeah, that's gonna make it into an intro at some
Oh,
point.
yeah.
Oh, of course. I love this movie.
She was really good in Daisy Jones and the Six.
I never saw that.
Oh, it's pretty good. Based
Yeah.
on a book. It's like very, oh my gosh, 1970s torrid love affair in a band kind of a thing. And then she was in that horror movie that we watched in 2020
Oh,
where
she was
like,
trapped in the cabin with the kids.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
where
they're
they're
like
like-
real assholes.
Yeah, they were fucking shitheads to her. And you know what it was? You know what that was a commentary on?
What?
Don't have kids? There's
Worked
a
on
great
me.
line here. Preach. There's a great line here where they're talking about bullets. And
Lodge.
one of them says that Splendid used to call the bullets anti-seeds. Plant one and watch a thing die. Very cool. They drive into the night and get stuck in the mud. And this is where we see the little creepy fucking dudes walking on stilts.
Dude.
So cool.
What a cool thing. Like this reminds me of the we brought this up recently, but the Watchmen, the fucking lube guy, where you're just like, well, that's a weird thing. And it's like that was a perfect example of that. Like these stilt dudes, that's fucking weird. I want to know more about that. Are we going to?
Nope.
No. Do we need to?
Nope.
No.
Not really.
Never
You just
gonna see
got to
them again.
assume that they do that.
They got
That's
some
just
things.
part of their world.
Yeah.
I loved the.
It's like vulture imagery too.
I really loved, and what it kind of reminded me of, even though it's not the vibe they're going for, but in Dune 2, when you go to the world of the Harkonnens and you have the negative sun, the black sun, where anything being shined on by the sun is black and white, and if you're in shade or in shadow, you are in color. And those night shots of like just that saturated blue, and they have the little like candle in the middle of them, and only that's lit up in color.
Whoa.
It's so wild looking. That shit was so crazy looking.
Such a cool choice.
Yeah.
We drive through the night. We get stuck in the mud, of course. And this is where the first watch of the mini bosses pulls ahead, because the bullet farmer is like, I'll take care of him because he's got a cool car that has tank tracks on it. So they go, start assaulting it. This is where Nux is like, I'm kind of in love with Raikio, so I will help us out of this jam. I'm going to be a good little boy. And he runs over to the one thing that he doesn't know what it's called. He's like, what, that thing over there? And they're like the tree. And he's like, yeah, the tree thingy. Because he really doesn't understand what they are. He uses the winch on the truck to pull it out. It goes clear.
See,
and
the
Max,
whole time I thought they were gonna like try and clothesline everybody. I was like unsure of what the process for this was.
I really enjoyed the earnestness in Nicholas Hoult acting right here. I loved him trying to convince these. No. Like I have experience with this. I just really enjoyed his performance there. A little issue I had with the, I was mentioning some of the ADR was like distracting at times. Nicholas Hoult, you could tell because of the mouth makeup, never fully moved his mouth a whole lot while he was on camera, because it just was probably limiting. So it always, like, his dialogue not only didn't fully match the lips because of whatever reason, because I just felt like things were kind of off and funky at times, but because he couldn't really stretch his mouth a whole lot, but then he's yelling
It's all
in
ADR,
dialogue,
yeah.
so it's like there was a little bit of a disconnect there for me. But I loved his performance, and I love like that whole character arc. I think it's fantastic.
It didn't bother me. None of the ADR in this movie bothered me. I think it's because it's, for whatever reason, it's kind of a, for better or worse, hallmark of the series. Because the first three movies were all ADR and they were all bad. So it reminded me of like an indie movie made in Australia in the 80s. Because you're like, oh man, they just did not get a good location sound guy for any of these lines. I do want to point out there's a great scene here where Max and Furiosa start bonding, where she gives him the sniper rifle, which only has 3 bullets left. We established that. He takes the first 2 shots and then feels her coming up behind him, and he just, fine. She gives her the sniper rifle, and she stops him and uses him as a tripod, basically. Pulls the trigger, and you hear a light buzz. Like
Just blows out his
eardrum. And then he goes, move the truck
Well, they
down
blind
there.
the one dude.
They do blind the guy with that because she shoots out the light.
Yeah,
they
He
shoot out
can't
the
see
light.
anymore.
Blind-
And he starts
this
blind firing everywhere.
Sets up what I think is my favorite bit of this entire movie. Like the Nicholas Hoult witness me moment at the end, probably my actual favorite. But this scene right here, dude gets blinded in the most insane fucking way. And again, what Andy was saying about the use of like the orange light lighting, the being the only color in the scene that's not just vivid blue. We get the scene of him, with the flare and all that. We get him being like, I am the scales of justice, conductor of the choir of death. Sing, brother, sing! Holy shit! And he has dual machine guns just fucking blindly shooting on this car. This is the most twisted metal fucking shit ever, man. I love it.
What do we think, like, because you're not supposed to be firing on Immortan Joe's girls, like, because I think maybe Furiosa or somebody drops a line there being like, what the fuck, why is he just firing at us? Does he know that like he's shooting at us right now and like these bullets could hit us and kill us? Because like, what was that, just like his madness just kind of taking over? Fuck it, I'm gonna go all out right now. I'm pissed off.
So. We also sort of established, because I don't know if this had been a scene or if it comes a little after this, but there's the guy, the leader of Gasoline Town, who's keeping inventory of all the cars they've lost, the people they've lost, the gasoline they've guzzled, the water they've taken. He's like, this is costing us a lot, and they're starting to get annoyed with him because Joe is the top of the hierarchy, but they do have power. So I think at this point, the guy's just cracked. He's like, fuck it, I'm gonna spray and pray. But also, if you're blinded in this world, you have to imagine, you're like, I'm not gonna last so long. They're gonna kill me at some point because these guys are crazy. From here on out, we do get a moment where Max says, hey, go take the tanker half a click down the road. If you don't see me in 5 minutes, just take off. And then the lady goes, what are they going to do? And he goes, what's Max going to do? And she goes, retaliate first. And then off in the distance, she's an explosion. And then 5 seconds later, Max comes running back with blood all over his face and
Maybe
then a sack of guns.
One of my favorite lines is when she's like, "It's not his blood."
Yeah, you got a lot of blood on you. He's like, and then he's like, "What is his mother's milk?" And she starts splashing on his face. It's not his blood. Very cool.
Why would you want to splash the milk on your face?
I think you just want to clear the blood off his face. But then it's like, then your face is gonna get sticky and it's gonna get sour.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
gonna smell. Yeah,
You're gonna get. I mean, everyone's stinky in this place anyway because there's no deodorant
but like
left.
soured milk is
Yeah,
like
it's not what you want.
another.
You just not. You keep the blood on. It's
yeah.
Can you just like wipe?
a better
just
look.
Wipe it off.
well. I also love, by the way, earlier Max got his leather jacket back from Nux because Nux had stolen it from him because it was a blood bank, so he got the whole thing. But in this one, he adds the as when he gets it back after he cut off the chain, he took the. I don't think we ever see him do it, but presumably he took the little plastic tubing that was acting as an ID.
Ah, yes.
And put it up on his little shoulder, so
Oh,
his
yeah,
coat
he-
gets more and more stuff because he's putting it in there and like saving it all, which is cool.
He's getting encumbered though. You gotta be careful with that.
Well, yeah, you got to
Gonna have to
expand
sell
your
some of those.
inventory
Yeah.
slots. Got to get some more hearts. From here on out, we've escaped. We go into the desert, and we come across a high tension wire tower that has been broken down. At the top of which is a naked woman who is crying and screaming for help. And Max and everyone involved is like, I've seen this before. Especially Max is like, that's bait. And of course, Furiosa realizes
Finally, context for the GIF I've seen every day for the last 9 years, probably.
that's bait. Furiosa, of course, recognizes that this is one of the women from her tribe, goes out and says, I am so-and-so, so-and-so, the daughter of Jabasa. I am one of you. And
Mother of Dragons.
Mother of Dragon.
Yeah, all that.
Yeah, keeper of secrets, keeper
Yeah.
of the Sorcerer's Stone. Of course, it is an ambush. In fact, the Volvanari, I think, are the women's names. The Volvalini pop out, and they're just badass. They're riding these badass motorcycle Harleys through the desert, and they come and they're like, "Oh no, this is our Furiosa," and she's like, "I'm so happy to be home. Now, fucking take me to the green place." And they're like, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "I remember the green place. Take me. I'm ready to go." And they're like, "You just drove through the green place. That was the swamp marshland that you just drove through that's uninhabitable because the water went south and we can't grow anything." And of course, we get introduced to the keeper of seeds who has this little pouch of seeds. She goes, "I plant these everywhere. None of them will take." And that's where I think Capable or one of the other, maybe it's the Valkyrie, I think, is the one that ends up being the keeper of seeds later, takes the bag with her. And so he's like, shit. Well, I guess we're going to drive 160 days across the Utah salt flats over there. And that's going to be our salvation. And Max is like, okay, well, see you later. I'm not going. That's stupid. And then he has a flash of his daughter who's like, you got to go save him, man. You gotta go save him. He's like, all right.
The daughter.
Joe Biden, what are you doing here?
Election 2024. Vote for Biden. And do you think people will vote for Biden more now that I do that voice or less?
You're probably at it. You're creating a lot of detractors here.
You don't think it's a net neutral?
No,
at the
I
very
think
least?
so.
Maybe I should stop doing the voice. Max, of course, has the flash and realizes really there's only one way out of the situation. He takes the bite that is left for them and he goes, hey, we got to turn back. He's like, our salvation is the Citadel. Right now it's unprotected. There's just young war boys there. They respect Furiosa. If we can cut a swath, we take the tanker, we cut right through the war party. If we can beat him to the pass, we can blow that up. It'll take him forever to get back to the Citadel. We can take it over and that'll be ours now. So they all agree. That is the plan.
I have a question. Was there a moment where Furiosa, I believe it was right after Max had just had one of these visions, and she's like, did you see it? And I was like, oh shit, is she aware that he's having visions? And are they both like, do you feel the force? Like, is this one of those like supernatural things? I wasn't sure what she was necessarily referencing in that moment.
I think it was like, when your friend falls asleep in the car, you just do this to him the whole time until they wake up.
Audio listeners,
And
he's pointing.
And then right when they wake up, you put it down. And then you go, did you see it, Joe?
I'm sure that's what it is.
Right.
No, I don't know. I don't know what that was. I think they're all going a little crazy. I do want to point out that I skipped over the badass shot, which is the shot of the movie where Furiosa realizes that all hope is lost and falls to her knee, like takes her arm off, falls to her knees, and screams as the wind sweeps over the sand dunes.
This
Fucking rad
is
shot.
the shot of the movie, like so gorgeous, and it literally, the note I put is the wind blowing the sand as she's there. It looks like this desert is crying. Like it's so powerful, man. So
If Simon
beautiful
Carty
shit.
were to do a video with George Miller and ask him what his favorite shot is, he would say probably that shot.
Simon
George
Carty's not the
Miller
one
would,
that.
or-
George Miller would say that's his
okay.
favorite shot. You know
I
what
didn't-
Simon Carty does that?
Yeah. I didn't know if you meant that Simon would say that or
Oh, no. I would say George Miller would be like, hey, here's my top one, probably.
Pretty cool shot. From here, of course, Immortan Joe's like figuring his shit out, getting his shit together, sees them cutting back through, and realizes that the Citadel is unprotected. Rallies the troops.
There's a shot somewhere around here. I think I might have missed it, but like motorcycles are going on the desert,
Dune.
and like you see the like sand getting spun up in the circle, and it's just fucking so tight, man. Like such a cool practical thing.
This is where we get the fun cameo from the music box and the Road Warrior as they're going back, and crazy stream, and then we kick into the action. We get this crazy sort of race between these two guys who are siphoning gasoline and blowing it into the air intake so that it basically supercharges the engines.
Oh my god.
Wild.
Which I thought was just like a weird, what's his name? It's not Drax.
Nux.
Thank
Nux.
you. I thought it was just like a crazy thing, but then you see Tom Hardy do it and you're like, dang, this is like
This is
real
the world.
intense.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, an engine works off of mixing oxygen with fuel so that it burns and creates a combustion. And I guess if you squirt fucking gasoline into the air intake, it'll make a bigger explosion, which I did not know that was capable of doing.
Nick, let's try it with your car afterward.
Let's try it with. How about we try it with Roger's Yaris S?
Yeah.
After attack, Roger.
Let's see if we can make it an RS. If you know what I mean?
Oh my god.
A Roger Sport.
Yeah, Joe, I'm kind of with you. I thought it was just here's some world building in this world amongst all the other random things that we've shown you in this world that like make this world kind of feel alive. And then once Tom Hardy's doing it, I was like, oh, this is like a plot point. This is like a story beat right here. I thought that was pretty neat.
One note that I put around this point is that George Miller always puts the camera in the most interesting place it could possibly be in every single shot, which is awesome. I do think it makes the film feel disjointed. Like it's just like a lot of just cool shit next to each other that, hey, I appreciate this for being unique and different from other movies, but it is a little much sometimes. And like, I do feel like it's a little style over substance in a lot of this movie, but there is substance there. So it's not necessarily a complaint, more an observation.
Dude, homeboy gets shot in the fucking jaw.
Well,
The one war boy driving the car, who's his car's getting spit into or whatever, just takes out fucking shot to the man. That shit was gnarly, dude.
there's a lot of violent moments here. We'll go through some. This is where we also get introduced to the pole vaulters who are jumping back and forth through cars. The keeper of the seeds just gets her fucking the back of her head lopped in with an electric bush trimmer that some dude has attached to his arm. He's like, you know, wants to go like this, and she's like, and then slowly dies,
that was
and you're
so
like,
sad.
whoa, this is trippy. Of course, then Valkyrie or the dagger, I can't remember which wife, takes the bag of seeds and becomes the keeper of the seeds. Max gets thrown all around. He ends up on a pole, which is hilarious. Just teeter-tottering in the foreground as everything is happening in the background.
This is George Miller direction though. Like I feel like he has such a like great grasp on how to frame action and like to make every motion and every single set piece like lead to something else. Like it reminds me of it must have been Mad Max 2, Road Warrior, where they have the one little settlement that they're all in, and there's the crane that like the guy that can't walk is kind of like being held up by and all that stuff, and it's like when you see that you're like, oh shit, later they're going to use it somehow, and then they do, like they use it in the action scenes of it spinning around. The pole vaulting thing is another example of that. If they introduce it, and it's like, well, that's cool as hell. And like, of course, they're going to use it to get the bad guys onto the good guys' vehicle. But it's like, oh shit, then they're going to actually have fight scenes on the things back and forth. And Max is going to get sent back and forth. It's like that level of like, it's not just a cool thing. It's like, we're going to make the cool thing have multiple uses of cool. Brilliant.
All of the harpoons hitting the tanker and then having to get the bolt cutters. All this sequence.
You know, bolt cutters would definitely be like a thing you get like on level 3 of the game.
You're gonna need this all the
now
time.
Now I can cut all the chains. We end up going through the canyon and we end up in a very narrow pass where Immortan Joe's monster truck is in front of the tanker. They slam into each other. We get the fight scene between Erectus and Max. We get the Valkyries going over there. I think at this point, Zoe Kravitz's character gets kidnapped by Immortan Joe. She's in the front seat. She's fucking with him.
We've had a lot of fatalities of this woman tribe.
Wives.
The wives.
The Volvolini is pretty much dead.
Yeah.
They're all dead. They all die.
Yeah.
We do get that cool shot where two of them kind of duck underneath it and they're like, we're good. And then pop up and then a fucking slam tanker just takes their head off.
One man, one bullet. They nod.
Yeah. Sick. Important to know, I think it was the Keeper of Seeds who's like, yeah, I've clicked heads of every single person I've ever met in this fucking wasteland. Tired of clicking heads, but I'll do it if I have to.
Yeah. So badass.
We end up with Furiosa versus Immortan Joe. Immortan Joe gets a harpoon to the face, And then she takes the chains. She's just like hasta la vista, hasta la pasta, no getting on you. Throws him into the wheel as it's rotating, and it just rips his fucking face off.
Oh my God.
Whoa, didn't see this
Brutal.
coming.
But so cool.
So cool.
She is at this point has taken she took her own knife to her kidney or to her side. She's bleeding out.
She's been hurting for a while.
They pull her back in. She's about to die, and Mac realizes, oh, I am a universal donor. I learned that in the beginning of this movie. I'll take this little cool thing that I saved, and he goes, sorry, and he stabs her arm and puts blood into there. So as she started passing out, he says, Max, my name is Max. That's my name.
But
What
before
an
that,
incredibly stupid moment that was fucking awesome because this movie rocks. Like all of that stuff is just so like eye rolly. Like of course this is gonna happen. They fucking earned it, man. It was cool.
You're right. I skipped a very important part before that where Nux is in the tanker, and he's realizing that like I think it's him and Erectus, and Erectus fucking rips the air intake off the hood of the car, and it goes on fire. And he looks over at Capable, and he goes, "Witness me," as he yanks the wheel.
fucking amazing.
Dude, you gotta think that some of these people survived and they're headed back to the Citadel to assault that thing.
I mean, we saw Max survive like the craziest car wreck at the beginning of the
Well, I just thought it would explode and then like lock him in there, so it was gonna take him weeks to get all the way around. But it's like they got over that rock slide pretty easy. They're gonna be back at the Citadel in a day.
They were all going way too fast.
You think
They
they
were
just
all
piled into
hit
it?
like they were all neck and neck with each other. They're all just crashing along.
You don't think the back of it's just like a little traffic jam? Like, just move, you move back. You know, it's like an
I
Italian,
can't.
an Italian road where it's like two Fiats just can't get past each other. They head back to the Citadel, and the kid, they're like, "Hold on, stop!" They stop the elevator. It's like, "What the hell's going on here?" And then Max gets out and he pulls out Morton Joe's body and takes off a white sheet. And they're like, "Holy shit, Morton Joe's dead!" And everyone starts cheering because they hate this motherfucker. And
Are they
then-
ripping his body apart?
Yeah,
Oh,
they
yeah.
Mussolini'd him.
Fucking insane.
Yeah, they go out there and they just rip his body apart. Maybe you want a little keepsake. You want your kids to
Could be
when you
worth
tell your
something
kids a story of like, and this was his hand.
You don't think that they're trying to eat him?
They might have been trying to eat him. Maybe they keep what they kill. Riddick.
Yeah.
Furiosa's there too, and he's like, Furiosa. He's like, man, she made a really good recovery. She was on death's door like 5 seconds ago,
Yeah.
but you give
It's
her
got
that
that
high
high
octane
octane.
blood, and there it is. They lower the
Red Bull.
elevator all the way.
Gives
Corpus
you wings.
Corpus Christi is not. The little guy's like, oh fuck, I'm kind of screwed here because
I'm
all the
next
little boys
up.
are like, we're gonna eat your ass too, even though there's not much of you, but we're still gonna eat
Is he
you.
the one that has the Regina George, like, just titties out?
No, this is the little guy. The little guy
Oh,
that's in
that's
like the little baby crib. The just titties out guy, I think, was the bullet farm. He was the gasoline guy. With little nipple clamps on it.
Yeah.
Gotta have a
They're
little
He had like
pain
that
Clamps.
nose
pleasure.
piece, right?
Well, he also had
Yeah.
the gout in his feet. He was the guy that had the big feet. Remember, he stomps. He uses his
yeah.
foot when he's knocked out to stomp the
Yeah.
gas tank and then jumps out of the pole vault.
I did like the little nose thing, but it does make me think that he doesn't have a nose, which I didn't like. So kind of going back and
Back
forth.
and forth. Yeah.
The mother's milk ladies make it rain literally and give water to the hordes down below. And as Furia ascends to the sky, she looks down and spots Max in the crowd. He gives her like a little knowing nod.
He
And
gives her
nothing
the
cooler.
he gives her the
Disappears.
Michael Caine.
Yep.
That's what Joey
talked
said
about it last
exactly last night.
Fernet Blanc. And then we end with a quote. Wearing
Was
this-
that Michael? Was that your Michael?
What was that, Nick?
Yeah. What,
It was me trying to remember how to say Fernet Blanco.
Burnett?
Well, he says Fernet
Oh.
because it's French. You uncultured fucking heathens.
Okay.
Fernet
Burnett is like
Blanc.
a San Francisco thing.
Well, tell that to Michael fucking Caine.
I will call him and let him know.
Call the knight Michael Caine. That's what Sir
Sir
means.
Michael Caine.
Okay.
Does Michael
You.
Caine have a Fernet music video that's filmed in San Francisco? I don't think so. You know?
I don't know, man. I saw someone at a show the other day drinking Fernet, and I was like, "What the fuck are you doing to yourself?
Fuck are
His
you
hand.
doing to
Go
yourself?
get a whiskey like a man." We end with a quote: "Where we must go, we who wander,
There are no
or where
roads.
must we go, we who wander this wasteland in search of our better selves, the first history man." I don't know what any of that means, but it's a cool way to end
It's
a
very
movie.
cool.
And
Very
that
cool.
is Fury Road.
Wow.
I needed a narrator.
Oh yeah.
We had
We
one,
need a little
Max.
No, but
Then he just doesn't
Like
narrate
a
the
more
end.
persistent one?
I needed like the same thing that
Yeah.
and the Legend of Max. Fucking.
Well, but that's what's interesting, right? Because you boil that down. Is before every narrator before was telling the story of Max, the Road Warrior, or the Thunder. The kids are telling the story of the captain that came out of the sky and saved him. And so all of these parables or these like mythology is about Max, but Max starts the narration here.
Yeah.
So he's telling the story basically to us of where he's at and Furiosa.
Yeah.
So it is weird that he didn't end it, but then it would have ruined that cool shot where he's like, and then the bodies go in
It
front of
cuts
him,
him,
and
he's
then
like-
Ethan Hunt's gone. He's like,
I thought it's like it's him looking up at Furiosa, slow mo walking out, and you hear That's me in the crowd. I left right after that.
I found my cool jacket.
I actually didn't go too much further. I stayed there the night.
It was a long day. I had to sleep. I had a lot of mother's milk spoiled on my face. So wash that shit off.
Jesus Christ. Now it's time for something I like to call RaGuBaGu.
RaGuBaGu. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Rad Guys Talk Bad Guys here for Mad Max in review. Tim, give us the list.
Currently at number 1, we have Auntie and Master Blaster.
Yeah.
Number 2, we have Humongous and the Marauders. And number 3, we have Toe Cutter and the Knight Rider gang.
I would put them underneath Auntie. I still think Tina Turner brought a fun dimension to it.
I agree. Like, I feel like the bad guys in this are so cool, and I feel like the action scenes that the bad guys put on is way cooler, and like the fact that there's the different like factions and like how unique their vehicles and all that stuff
Yeah.
are. It's kind of like perfected, but it's lacking
But it's
something.
one note.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would put this at number 1. I gotta put it at number 1. I think the you die and then you live again, Valhalla, spray the silver on your mouth, witness me, Immortan Joe, the costume design, all like the sinister nature of this dude who's just like got a bunch of wifeys. I think it's just like awesome and evil as hell.
You won me over. Yeah. The spray paint got me. The witness me. But, like the lore of the Valhalla stuff,
Yeah.
I think is pretty fucking sweet.
Pretty sick. But did you forget that 2 men enter, 1 man leaves?
Yeah.
They
Fuck,
didn't come
you're
up with
right
that
too.
shit.
You're
They
right.
didn't come up
you're
with
right.
that shit.
Joey, where are you at?
I think I'm with Nick. I think it's at number 2.
It's tied, baby.
I think I just like her like role in the world more than I think she has like more. We get more touches of her, and this is just kind of like Immortan Joe existing.
But then at the end, she's just like, all right, later.
Game respect game, though, you know.
Nick, what if I told you that a good guy actually came up with a line, 2 men enter, 1 man leave? You don't know the full lore of the Thunderdome.
Oh, it was
that was
like-
actually a really good, nice dude. who
It's
created that line.
symbolic. It's like 2 men enter with 2 opposing views, but then really 1 person leaves because they like agree on something.
Mm.
We gotta let them out so they agree.
Dock a point from the RaGuBaGu.
What if I told you that at one point Dr. Dealgood says, "Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dying times here."
God, it's so cool.
God, it's so cool. Well, I mean, I guess we're gonna tie it here for the
Stalemate.
RaGuBaGu.
I just put him number 1. I'll change my vote. I don't like ties.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it's close enough.
We still have to
Number 1 then.
Thunderdome
So
to untie
we're
something
putting
else.
Immortan Joe
Mm-hmm.
and just Immortan Joe.
Yeah, Immortan Joe. It's fine.
Yeah,
Immortan Joe and the War Boys.
At all.
I mean, Immortan Joe and the War Boys
Sick.
sounds like a
That's
badass metal
fun.
band that you like
Yeah.
dancing. You're like, what does he make?
Damn, I thought I had a thunder sound effect on here. On this freaking... Oh, man. With the gyrocopter, I could have had the...
Yeah.
It's a helicopter sound effect.
You're
Nick.
learning, man. You're learning your stuff.
Careful.
Oh, is that
Gunfire.
a bullet? Holy
Yeah.
shit. That went over my head. It was like Dolby, except mono.
Jesus Christ. Now it is time to rank the Mad Max movies. We're currently number 1. We have a tie between The Road Warrior and Beyond Thunderdome. And number 2, we have Mad Max.
Without a doubt, this is number 1.
This is the strongest number 1. This is
yeah.
so good.
No question.
It's number 1. I do want to fight for Thunderdome. I really do, but I can't. I just can't. This is number 1.
Yeah.
This is number 1. Now, we still need to come up with the Thunderdome, Joey.
We
have,
do.
We have failed the people.
We
Me and you
have.
had one job this week, and we royally
Now, I will
fucked it
say
up.
this. I have a lot of physical activities that me and Mike were going to make Andy do to see
Yeah.
if he could do it. So if you want, I have a string and a hot dog. And if Andy can't do it, then his vote.
Hold on, what the
Do
fuck does that mean? What does that mean? I have a string and a hot dog if Andy can't do it. What is it?
You don't know. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
I don't
a
want
whole
to
thing.
know.
It's a challenge that he during our Spider-Man 2 stream.
That was
They're
so
like,
long ago.
we have a lot of challenges for you, and a lot of them were Spider-Man themed, and one of them was tie this string around your waist, and we put a hot dog wiener at the end of it, and you have to hip thrust the string hot dog wiener into your mouth. And
There's
catch it.
Question
no
from
way.
the press pool here, Andy.
Yeah,
Bear from Kind of Funny. What does that have to do with Spider-Man?
nothing at all.
Okay.
It was just something they saw on a video.
Spider-Man swings.
Well, I mean, again, just to remind everybody here what the Thunderdome of this is, it is me and Joey versus Andy and Nick.
Right.
To see, is the Road Warrior better than Beyond Thunderdome?
Right, but you're missing an opportunity to embarrass Andy.
No, I know. I
And
get
so I
it.
think
I get it.
So
but
if Andy can't do it, then
so it's just
Tim
all
and I
on
win.
Andy. He either gets,
then me and
if
Andy
Andy
are
gets
kind
the
of
hot
in.
dog in his mouth, the Road Warrior is number
Is
two.
number two.
And if he can't, then we
Beyond
win.
Thunderdome.
There you go.
I'm okay with this.
Andy?
We'll do it next week.
Oh, wow. Are you accepting the challenge to the dome?
No, absolutely not.
Oh, I thought you were going to take it.
Will you take it, Nick?
Will I take it? I'll do the challenge. Fuck
You'll
yeah.
do the
I'll try to
challenge?
get this thing in my mouth.
All right. So
What did I vote? I can't remember where I voted.
You
Did I say
voted
that
for
Road Warrior was-
Road
you're Road
Warrior.
Warrior.
I'm Road Warrior guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got to fight for the Road Warrior.
I'll tell you what. I get this hot dog in my mouth. I get 5 swings with it. How's that sound?
60 seconds on the clock.
6 seconds. I love that.
Yeah.
So I'll try. Remind me after this. I'll go get some fresh hot dogs
Great.
because I don't think these hot dogs are good anymore. I
Good.
don't
For
want-
Yeah,
Spider-Man 2, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
some
I don't want
better
to put
days.
these. I mean, you know, honestly, because
We'll do it next week.
I get the cheese
Are
dogs
we
too. The
doing
ones with
this?
cheese in them. So good.
Better center of
milk.
gravity for swinging.
Well, lighter in the middle. Has a little fluff to it in the middle.
But you have to do it in the front of the screen when we watch Furiosa. You have to do it.
I'll tell you, I'll go you one better. I will jump off that ledge again, like I did with Spider-Man: Homecoming. I'll jump off that ledge and I'll do until I get kicked out.
Oh,
I'll
God.
review whatever movie I saw.
Oh, we're gonna get kicked
So
out of
everybody, currently the
AMC.
rankings are number 1, Fury Road. Number 2, tie between the Road Warrior and Beyond Thunderdome. And number 3, Mad Max. Next week, we will rank, review, and recap Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. And we will also have Nick Scarpino enter the dome to represent Team Nick and Andy versus Joey and Tim. One man
Who
enter,
somehow
no one
won.
leaves.
Two
Who the fuck
wieners
knows what's
enter
going
and
on?
one wiener leaves, Andy, because I eat the other one.
Okay.
Can he do it? We'll have to find out. Stay tuned and come back. I hope that's an enticing offer. If not, I'm sorry. You can
I
leave.
get it. I
I
understand.
understand. I love you all. Have a wonderful day.
Where's the other
Witness
wiener?
me.